Ishwarama's resplendent sun. It's the start of a bright new day. Time to rise, time to shine, Lord divine. Time to lead us along life's way. Awake, Lord of Buddha party. Awake, O Lord, over all mankind. Awake, O Lord of compassion, that the world good fortune may find.
Can you hear me? No. Is it working? There's that man from Texas. Do you all know this fellow? He's fantastic. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. I just want to first again thank all of you, and most of all Swami, for inviting me to come and be here with you this afternoon. It's been an awful lot. So many people said so many sweet things to me after the chat. I really, the only reason that I want to be here is to serve him, and if he speaks through me to some of you, you've made my whole year. So thank you all for having me. However, someone said to me, "You're really special." This upsets me a great deal because of a lesson that Swami has given me over and over again. It is really the problem that mankind has suffered from the beginning, and that is the feeling of being special. We're taught in today's world that we're supposed to be better than, different. The second that we fall victim to feeling special, we've lost the whole game completely. You know, a Christian says, "Oh, I'm special. I'm a Christian. I'm better than a Jew." Or a Hindu says, "Well, I'm special. I'm better than a Pharisee." Or a rich man says, "I'm special. I'm better than a poor person." I mean, this is the danger in life in general. We have this amazing association in mankind, which it seems in today's world we're so competitive with one another, wanting to beat the other guy out, wanting to be more powerful, have a stronger position. You see this typified at Sai Baba's ashram, where everyone is trying to get close to the king, and they'll do anything to get there, say anything. I just can't warn you enough about feeling special. Someone came up and even offered me Sai Baba's food, you know, that they had in the canteen. I was so upset. Or they even made me, I finally did break in line to get my dinner. And it's just a reminder to me, and I thank Swami for that reminder of that we are him. So the feeling of being special, being different, being better than someone else. Someone came up to me and said, "Well, I'm so worried about what people say about me. Swami gave me an object and people are jealous because of it, and so they say naughty things to me all the time." Worrying about what other people say. Again, it's the only lesson that I have learned, because I've had to, and with great love, deal with my little hard rock family around the world, every place in the world, and it's been fantastic to practice looking beyond the personality, to really see God in everyone that you meet. If you practice that, it's just like meditation. And meditation is the way to God. I can't tell you enough. It's just like the bhajans. For years I thought, well, in fact, I think I know 3 after 17 years. You know, I didn't understand the importance of that ritual, how important it is. It's a form of meditation. It's a form of union with God. Even if you don't know the words, just to be there and be part of the music is so very, very important. But meditation is everything. And again, I'd like to talk just briefly for just a minute or two. And there were so many folks that had questions about various things I'd said. I have questions about some of the things I've said. That if anyone would like to ask any questions, because I'm not going to take too much of your time this afternoon. The work that I do with Mrs. Crystal is so fantastic and so wonderful, and it's available to everybody. Sai Baba has called this work New Knowledge for a New Age. I beseech all of you, and this is a book, as I said before, there are 2 books, and Swami has now written through her 2 more books which will be coming out shortly. The proceeds all go to the Sathya Sai Trust. But these books are dynamic. They will help you to overcome fear, anger, hatred, greed, lust. They are powerful symbols that Sai Baba has given to all of us. Mrs. Crystal at the moment, in fact, is in Switzerland, and she's giving talks there to huge groups. She's gone to South America. She is, just in the past year, she's been in France and England, all at Sai Baba's request. And I know that Sai has said, there's no one special to me, or no one, because he does treat us all equally, I can assure you. But this is special work. He would not have allowed this book to be the only non-Sai book to be distributed by the Tutston Center, and soon to be distributed at the ashram. I'm constantly asking him about this work, and he is constantly affirming, yes, this is new knowledge for a new age. It's my gift. So many of us have personality problems or fears or difficulties. These meditations, and this is what this book is, it's not to be read, it's to be practiced. These meditations can solve so many of your problems, can alleviate fear and anger, and the things that so many of us fall victim to. So I, again, cannot say enough about meditation. It is the most important part, to get in contact with your true nature. Again, you are not the mind, you're not the body, you're divine beings. You have to put something in your daily life to contact the true personality. Just like someone maybe build their body up by doing exercise, there are spiritual exercises that bring your true personality to the forefront, and meditation is so very, very important for all of us. And communion with one another. It's so exciting for me. I've never belonged to a Sai center. I've never stayed in one place long enough to enjoy this sort of communion. And the fact that you're all here together enjoying this wonderful, fabulous place is so fantastic, and I know that you will take this energy that Sai Baba has brought together today and take it back into your neighborhoods, wherever you are. I'd like to talk just for a second about attitude, and it is an attitude that is important to understand. I was blessed to have money, and people have been asking me about money this afternoon. Blessed to have money that I wanted to give to Sai Baba, and I didn't know how to do it. It was such a strange thing, the idea of giving Sai Baba something, wanting to give, being attached to the giving. And then finally I realized that this money that I was giving could not be accepted until it was given for all who maybe don't have the cash, but would, if they had it, like to have given. It's when I adopted this attitude that I approached him. This gift that he blessed in me in receiving was given in the spirit that it was given for all of us. It was the same as the symbol of this bowl which he gave me at the birthday. I was shocked. They came and woke me up about 5 o'clock in the morning and said, Sai Baba wants you to sit up on the podium there with him, and I did so at his command. I was very embarrassed to be sitting up there. And then suddenly he brought out this magnificent bowl, a huge thing, and presented it to me, and I realized as I was sitting there that it was just a symbol. It represented his grace for the 2,000 workers who worked on this project 24 hours a day. It was a symbol of grace for the 200 draftsmen which drafted day and night to create this hospital. Everyone had told us that it was physically impossible to create this hospital. First of all, it takes at least 1 year of planning, and it will take at least 3 years to build. It was planned through His grace in 6 weeks. It was built in 1 year. I mean, it is, you know, he announced, well, first of all, he said he was going to do the hospital. A couple of weeks later, he said it's going to open a year from now. He announced it at the birthday there. And we all said, oh my God, what are we going to do? And no one of us, not one of us on the project believed it could be done. I mean, talk about, you know, being close to Baba and having no faith. But indeed, it was done, and it's an amazing achievement. And I look forward to all of you being able to go over there and certainly have a look at it. It's a beautiful thing that Sai has created for everybody. It's amazing what he has done, as he's predicted, that he was first going to build a model for education, and he announced this 20 years ago when he inaugurated the university. He said, I'm going to set up a model for the Indian government of what free education can be all about, that this school that I'm setting up now will be the model. Well, at the opening of the hospital, the Prime Minister, Mr. Rao, came, and he gave a speech. And in that speech, he said, we are now accepting the university as the model for the Indian government of how education, free education, can be given to the masses. And I've met several of the teams that he has sent down subsequently to study what service and education can be. Now, Sai has announced that this hospital will be a model to the world on how a hospital can run in a third world environment. As we all know what Andhra Pradesh is, with 55 million people just in the state of Andhra Pradesh alone, that this hospital will be a model of what free education to the mass, to free medical care to the masses can be. Well, I believe that that's what we are. You know, people say, well, why doesn't everybody a Sai Baba devotee? Well, I don't know what karma we have come through to receive this blessing, this small Sai family on the earth. Of course, Sai has many, many other names and many other cultures. But I believe that we are models. Models we must be as well to the rest of the world. And it's so important that we get over our failings as quickly and fast as we can to become beacons for Him. Now, I'd like to, if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer if I can. Yes, ma'am.
When Baba asked you to get started on the hospital, did he give a sense of direction, or did he just say go start the hospital?
The question was, when Sai Baba said we'd start the hospital, to give a sense of direction. I think about 40 of us ran off in every different direction that there could possibly be, not knowing which direction to go in. It became obvious real quickly that only with His grace would we be able to come together and make it happen. It was I'm a very strong, hard-headed character, and Sai Baba sort of put me in front of the entire Indian culture and tried to, you know, bulldoze my way through. And it's very interesting because I learned a great lesson from it. He allowed me to go full steam, like a little steam engine, right up the middle, as they say in football. And then one day he said, Tigrett, I don't want you to talk anymore. I said, okay. Later he explained to me, he said, look, you know, it was very interesting. He said, from your background and the way you were raised, there was no harmony in your family. There was no family unit. You realized that the only way you were going to get anything done in life was to go out and do it yourself. And you never had the teaching of what a family unit is all about. He said, this hospital experience for you personally is a learning experience of how to work as a team. Everybody has their part to play. So indeed, we all ran off in different directions, but he absolutely, we would have meetings for hours, and he'd say, no, a little bit to the left. No, I want that there. That should be green. This should be red. This should be 12 feet tall. This should be 6 feet wide. He knew exactly what every room and every specification was going to be. And he was actively involved with every aspect of the building of that hospital, just as he's actively involved with the running of the hospital as well. I mean, the fact that nobody has died there defies medicine in general, because it's a construction site and you cannot have an operating room with even the speck of dust, because when you open the body, if a speck of dust or dirt gets in, you will have internal infection and you will die. I think the fact that he comes over there a couple of times a week while these operations are going on, he visits the wards, he goes into the operating rooms, obviously his vibration is cleansing. So it's a divine hospital, that's for sure, with him over there all the time. Yes, sir.
Could you talk a little bit about the meditation that you do, how frequently you practice?
The question is, would I talk about the meditations and so forth? I had no idea. I've been aware of other dimensions and other things going on. I didn't know if I could ever play a role in it. Obviously, I now know that we each can, through meditation, learn a lot about other dynamics, and it humbles you greatly when you realize that there are more dynamic things than yourself going on. It all started 4 years ago. He asked me to work with Mrs. Phyllis Crystal, and it happens probably, he brings us together for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. We will meditate for about 4 or 5 hours a day, or we have these sessions. Then after 2 or 3 weeks, he'll give us a break, and I'll go off and do some business, and she will do her thing. And then he brings us back again, and this is the way it's been for 4 years. He asked us to record these journeys. We now have about 400 hours on tape of these amazing journeys into other dimensions, many discourses that he has given explaining how things work, sort of. And it's so interesting. Most interesting of all is that it's just like grass growing. It's so simple, really, really simple. The unknown always scares all of us. It's a natural phenomenon. But this work is primarily means to me that he is working on many levels at once. It is dynamic to see it. Again, let me sort of tell you, because obviously there's no way to share these things. Even the experiences I've had, I find difficult to believe. But the effect is what's important to understand. Every time you think, you put out energy. Every single thought. Thought is more powerful even than action. That's why he says, watch your thoughts. It's so very important, because it's pure energy, and it's powerful energy, and it doesn't just dissipate somewhere. It gathers together in what Sai Baba has called in our work the astral plane, which is where negative thought forms come together. Just like the Russian experience, which I told you about, all this negativity, this negative fear that these Russians have had, it created a thought form, a living, powerful beast, really, that was still holding them and suppressing them and keeping them in that particular place. The same thing happens with lust, greed, anger. Over the yugas, all of this is collected into huge dynamic form. And what happens is that when you get angry, when you get lustful, when you get hateful, when these things occur, you're putting up like a tuning fork. These things are made of human energy, and they feed off of human energy. And if you're not careful, you can cross a line of attraction to them, and they will attach themselves to you. And when they do, then they will keep you in that frame of mind. They will keep you lustful. They will keep you angry. They will keep you in this negative, because this is their food. They're feeding off of you. As crazy as this may sound, this is one of the purposes of Mrs. Crystal's book, is to show you how to get away and protect yourself from these things. It's Sai Baba's book, not Mrs. Crystal's. It's the most important work or word that I can give you really today of my experience in this life, is you must watch your thoughts. It's so important. A lady came up to me this afternoon and said, I am so bloody angry. I am furious. It has consumed her, anger. I believe that she has contacted one of these thought forms, and that it has control of her. It is the way things are. It's very difficult to understand, but it's the way things are. Yes, ma'am.
How is the thought form pattern over the United States compared to the thought form pattern?
Well, you know, it's really some of these, it's the Shiva energy that's at work right now. There has to be death to be birth. It's just like flowers dying in the wintertime so that there can be a rebirth. It's just like our lifetimes. There's death and there's birth. It's part of the wheel. It's part of the whole process. For a new age to begin, an old age has to be swept aside. Look what's happening to the planet right now. The planet itself is being destroyed by mankind. The biosphere is in danger of collapsing, totally collapsing. This awareness is slowly seeping into not just America or one country, but the whole world is becoming aware that we have fouled our own nest. And by being so, they're connecting themselves to nature because they realize that nature and ourselves are one and the same. We're part of nature. Nature is God. God's everything. So suddenly we are being really in this, what seems like a total disaster, we're all tuning in to our higher nature through this awareness that the biosphere is collapsing around our heads. I worked with the environmental groups, in fact started an environmental group in the UK called ARC, and got very much into it after I sold my business and became very concerned. I spent a lot of time with NASA and several other organizations and saw, in fact, part of the global forum, the scientific community was the leading scientists around the world. It was headed up by Carl Sagan, a famous scientist. And at the Moscow conference, all they could say was that we're doomed. And I got so concerned, I went to Sai Baba and I asked him, I said, you know, what's going to happen to the biosphere? And he said to me, God is allowing mankind to destroy the earth. Only when man is brought to his knees will he turn toward God. It's the same thing that's happening with all the oppressed nations that have been around the world. Look what's happened. Who would have believed that he would have broken up Russia and Eastern Europe and some of the South American governments and some of these oppressive countries, I mean, in a short period of time. Look what he's done to the world economy. We're all marching in the wrong direction. We think materialism is going to bring happiness, so let's just stomp out materialism around the world. And he has brought the economy of the world almost to its knees. There has to be death to be birth. There is a new age upon us, a new age of consciousness, and I think we're all blessed to be here. Yes, sir.
We know so little about life after death. Now, you said that Baba saved you when you swallowed your tongue.
Yes.
Could you expand on that? What exactly did it feel and what did you experience?
Life after death. You mean life after delusion, don't you? I mean, I can only tell you that as far as my personal experience was concerned, it's really twofold. I had this experience. It was yes, he wanted to know what life after death was like, or what's going on. Not that I'm an expert, but I had a small glimpse, and I've had others through meditation. It was a state of total bliss. There are no five senses. So you're not bound to anything. I was in a state of pure, it was like to be described as just electricity. But it was totally peaceful. It was wonderful. I didn't really want to go back. In fact, if you recall Mr. Cowan, who Baba brought back to life, I think there was a group that interviewed him at one time and said, well, what's it like to return back to Earth? He said it was like returning to a sewer. I don't really care about being in the etheric plane or this plane. I just like to be merged with Sai Baba permanently. I have visitations from my own brothers, and I have constant visitations, in fact, from people on the other side. They're in a state of continuous learning. It's still a learning process, but the action is down here. Everybody's waiting to get back down here because this is where you burn the karma off. This is where the action is, in this dimension. Yes, sir?
I heard that you were incorporating these management practices that you use in the Hard Rock Cafe into some sort of a book or lecture series, or did I hear incorrectly?
This is it. The question was putting the practices of Sai Baba into your business. And no, I'm not writing a book about it, and I hope Swami doesn't ask me to. But what I am doing is practicing. And I think any person who has a business, it doesn't make any difference what it is. People say, hey, that guy's not a Sai devotee, he runs a bar. Or another devotee may say, well, he's just a street sweeper, you know, or this guy, oh, he's just a carpenter, how can he do big things, you know? And it's nonsense. It doesn't make any difference what anyone does. It's how you do it. Work is worship, as long as you do it dharmically, right thinking, right acting. I thought I had retired from a business that just about ran me into the ground. Sai Baba now has me doing it again. And he's just blessed a project, and I'm opening something called the House of Blues, which is a series of the rhythm and blues places, which will be 3 of them open very shortly before the end of this year. And I can't believe that he has me doing it again. I mean, enough is enough, you know. But he has told me it must be done dharmically. The Hard Rock was a high school. You passed, just barely, Tigrett, he said. He said, now it's time to go to college. So he's at Leslie, I don't have to relearn a whole new scene, but the point being is that now I'm doing it totally different than the last time. The last time it was done with the heart and probably less mind. It's so very important, and there's a meditation, in fact there's 2 meditations I'd like to give you today, because he's told me just recently that he is everything. He is all action. He is the Kundalini power. The Kundalini power, the action of God, this incredible creative force, is like a freight train. Unless it is balanced between the male and female aspects, it will run off into a cul-de-sac. This is what causes wars, which he told me. You know, too much of the male thinking. It's a combination of head and heart. It has to be balanced. It must be balanced. All of us are out of balance, usually in one form or another. We all have a male and female aspect, yin and yang. It's as ancient as the day is long. And we have to be guarded at all times to balance this. There is a meditation which he gave to Mrs. Crystal and myself several years ago. He has now reiterated that this is the most important meditation you can do. It's called the tree meditation. In fact, in many other cultures, in the mystical side of other cultures, starting with Christianity, this meditation was a predominant one. It's very simple. I'll give it to you real quickly. You simply sit in a quiet spot. You imagine yourself. You sit in a lotus position or whatever you can get in that's close to it. As a tree. As a tree. Your favorite tree. Maybe it's an oak tree. And then you imagine that above you, rising to the sky, are the branches of that tree. Below you, going down into the Mother Earth, is the root system of that tree, which is a duplicate of the branches, really. And then you must now pull in the energy. The branches in the sky represent the male father. The roots in the earth represent the mother, the Divine Mother. And you must breathe in this energy. First, you imagine pulling in energy through the branch system into your body. And you exhale, because energy replaces. When you pull in divine energy, it replaces something. This is a very important meditation, probably the most important for this age as well. And as you exhale all that is replaced, the unnecessary parts. And you pull in and you exhale. And once you feel that and you've got that going, then you go to the root system. This is the Divine Mother. This is the yin. And you must pull in this energy from those root system. This is starting to keep the balance going. You pull in this energy, you exhale what is unnecessary. Then you do them both simultaneously. You pull in from both sides at once. If you practice this, You will be amazed at the actual power that you will feel and the harmony within your own being. He told me that this is the most important meditation that you can do. There's one other, which is a matter that I do and have done since he gave it to me. I do it every day. I don't know if it's of interest to you, but I feel I should tell you. I ask him for 5 things. He's just given me a 6th recently. First, I ask him to think through me. And as I ask this, I breathe in. The breath, the pramayanas, are so powerful. I ask him to think through me. I ask him then to feel through me. Again, this is the head and the heart once again. I ask him to feel through me. I ask him to speak through me. I ask him to act through me. I ask him to love through me. This is really one of the, this is the whole ball of wax, really, because it's the yin and the yang, the head and the heart. Speaking, that's a result of the balance between the two. Acting, that is the action. And loving, that's the divine aspect, which covers the whole ball of wax. He just recently asked me to add to that, breathe through me. So it's very, very important meditation. Those two, if there's anything I can give you today that has been meaningful to me in my life and into hopefully getting a little bit further down the path, though I can't confess to getting very far, those 2 meditations will help in every way. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Pardon me?
When you breathe out through the branches of the roots?
No, just breathe out through your mouth. And what this is really is all the negativity. Every energy that you bring in that is of a divine source replaces something in your body. And that must be expelled. It's really, imagine breathing out all the negative, unnecessary things. Very important. Concentration is everything. And I know we all have trouble with concentration. We meditate and we go, oh, my mind's going here, there, everywhere. Keep at it. I have trouble every day. But I just, through these exercises, in time, it's very simple. It's just like seeing God in every single individual, seeing beyond the personality. Soon you will see God everywhere.
You breathe out through the mouth, do you?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You were speaking about negative thought forms and things we do to build them and positive thought forms. Is it accurate to say that the meditation sadhana that we do, we're trying to focus on one at the expense of the other? And until we get liberation, we're bound to be doing one or the other?
Well, you hopefully are tuning into more positive things than negative things. The 5 senses you have to conquer. And that is what leads to lust, greed, anger, envy, hatefulness, and things like that. Prayer, meditation, that is putting out energy in a positive sense. That is connecting yourself with your true nature.
But like doing the latter, it's like keeping kind of the form.
By doing something positive, you're setting the negative aside. It depends on how you spend your time. Yes, sir.
With the one world breaking up and a family breaking up into 1,000 islands, how are we going to come to peace and harmony?
Ha! Well, that's going to take some time. I really believe that,
Do we have the time?
of course, you have thousands of lifetimes you've come from, and probably there'll be a few more in the future. You've got to realize that once you become aware of reincarnation, and I think that you have to intellectually understand how sort of things work. Once you become aware that you've been here before and you're liable to be here again some other lifetimes, then this personality, Isaac, in the totality of this experience, is just a blink. It's nothing. It's meaningless. Yes, ma'am.
The thought form that you speak of, are they what some scriptures refer to as demons? In other words, is what the Christian thinks is some Satan, is he just a thought form?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Does Baba speak about, in relation to what you're speaking of, New Age and lifetimes, in relation to the Bible and Revelations and an Armageddon coming where things really changing?
He has he is in meditation about a year ago, brought Mrs. Crystal and I sort of do this together. We do this because we're both very naughty in a past life, and this is an opportunity, and we balance each other's energy out for some reason or another. I don't understand it, but Sai said, you don't have to, just do it. He brought us to an abyss, it was like an abyss. It was a cavern, what can I tell you? And there was the other side, and he said, turn around and look behind you. We turned around and looked, and here were all of the lives of every human experience since the very beginning of time. And they were all connected with 3 chains. One chain was the lineage of their father, one chain was the lineage of their mother, and one chain was a karmic chain. He then said, look back the other way. I know y'all think it's a fairy tale, but it sort of is. He said, look back the other way. We looked back, and he said, over this crevasse, that is the new age. He said, none of this can come with us. We must cut the chains first before we can pass over to the other side. Now, it's a process that I think he is doing with all his devotees. I think we are blessed and will be blessed to help others over. And I think that is one of the reasons that he has created the Sai family. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know at what point do we merge with the Lord?
Well, I can't answer that, for myself or for anyone else, but certainly when you have reached a state of consciousness, I've seen, when do you merge with the Lord? There have been many, many souls that have, and there are many souls that he has said, this is your last life. I don't understand the true dynamics of everything. I know that is my goal. In fact, I sort of hope that this isn't my last life because I'd like to come back and help Prima Sai if I can in any way. Yes, sir.
A two-part question. Once you said that to do your work, and work is a worship, but the work could be different kind, like a butcher, the man who cuts the cow, that cut the beef and all those things. Does he think that is a wrong thing to change it, or he should still going on doing the same thing?
It doesn't make any difference what you do. The question was, does it make any difference if you're cutting weeds, or if you're doing this or doing that, or should you change your job, or should you do something better or something more important? The only thing that's important is the way you do it. It doesn't make any difference what you do. It's totally unimportant. It's how you do it. Yes, sir.
Second part. It's the motive, why you're doing something, what's driving you behind it?
Well, you should do things for him. You should give up your work to him. Work is worship. You simply deliver the action to him. It's like I have slowly come to understand through 17 years of contemplation and meditation that it's not important what the outcome of my action is. Think about 2 guys who are doing battle. Think about the Bhagavad Gita and what that was all about. Let's say that 2 people worship the Lord and they must do battle. They must fight each other to the death. Well, one of them's going to die. Does that make him the victor or the loser? Or the whole point is that it doesn't make any difference what happens. It's how you do it. As Sai Baba has said, the past is past. The future is uncertain. Now is the time. The present. What you're doing now is creating your future karma.
One more question. When the Baba, you say Baba everywhere, but when the Baba is helping you here in America, and what is happening in Portugal, or what's happening in Russia, or India, or Japan, or China, how much, what do you think? Did you ever ask him? You are everywhere?
Well, I think the question is Baba really everywhere? I think there are devotees all over the world who've had simultaneous experiences. All I can tell you is that I certainly, from my experiences, have no doubt in my mind now, although it's hard to comprehend this. Let me give you an example, a little story. A friend of mine named Gary Bells. Okay, this is a chap, and I know we've all had friends that we try to take down to see Sai Baba. We tell about Sai Baba, and I went through that one 17 years ago and realized that only Baba asked people to come down there. As he said, no one sees an inch of my robe unless it is my will. Anyway, this chap called me out of the blue, a friend of mine who I had knew was spiritual, but I never really pushed it off on him. We went down to Puttaparthi. We spent 2 weeks there together. And after 2 weeks, one night, this guy's pacing up and down and up and down. He's worrying. I said, "What's wrong with you, man?" He says, "Well, look, I know he's a divine being. I know he has immense power. I understand that, but this omniscience business, my mind cannot comprehend being everywhere all the time. It just doesn't compute." Okay, so I said, "Well, look, I told him about my 2 experiences of death experiences where Baba just appeared and saved me. And I said, I have had these experiences, and my mind still cannot comprehend omniscience, the possibility of omniscience." Well, this guy was so worried, he finally went to sleep. About 3 o'clock in the morning, he wakes me up. Isaac, you're not going to believe this." He said, "I've just had this dream, but it wasn't a dream. It was like reality." He said, "Sai Baba came. He had my mother and father sitting in a chair here. He had my wife and 2 children over here. He materialized a lathe and put it over me. He gave me this whole lecture on enlightenment." He said, "It was incredible. It was amazing. I just had to tell you, I said, "Gary, go back to sleep. That's great, man. That's great." The very next morning, we get up. We're in Darshan. Sai Baba comes and says, "You two, come in." We go inside. We sit at his feet. He turns to Gary Bells, my friend. He said, "Last night, you had a dream about me. Your mother and father were sitting on this side. Your children and wife were sitting on this side. I materialized the lathe. I gave you a lecture on enlightenment. You got so excited you woke up. Then you woke up Tigrett and told him, I know I was there." Yes, sir.
People that are embedded with anger because they've tapped into a negative thought form.
Yes.
Is there anything that we can do to someone that is close to us that we feel is that way?
I suggest that you read Mrs. Crystal's book. And I say Mrs. Crystal's book. It's Sai Baba's book. Okay. Cutting the Ties That Bind and More Cutting the Ties That Bind. They are very important spiritual exercises. And let me tell you what Sai Baba has said these symbols are. There's symbols in this book. Various easy to follow symbols. And very easy, explain very easily how to use these symbols. These symbols are divine thought forms. They are as powerful as anything could ever experience. They were created by the Divine One. They are His. And as he says, new knowledge for a new age. I have now worked 4 years. I didn't know what I was getting into when I got into all of this. The thing that has been so amazing is seeing the results of the work. But it does take work. Yes, sir.
This morning you mentioned that forms of the gods are not that important. But in meditation, which you outlined a few minutes ago, the forms of the gods are necessary, are important as well.
It doesn't make any difference, as Sai Baba has said himself. Don't follow me. Follow your own chosen God. But follow that God and the teachings. It's important for human beings to have visuals of their belief of what the God force is all about. It's been since the very beginning of time. The main thing to understand is follow your chosen God, any one of them, but follow the teachings. The teachings are the same everywhere. It's one thing to put up a picture and say, Sai Ram and all that sort of thing. It's another thing to follow the teachings, put it into your life. That's what he wants us to do. Yes, ma'am.
What is the recommended amount of time for the meditations that you outlined? I know it can go all the way up to hours, but what would be the minimum and how would you progress?
I've had the worst... she wants to know about meditation and how you do it, and I'm sure that one of the things the Sai family should do is teach meditation or have a class for people that want to learn. It's taken me 17 years, and I'm maybe one rung up the ladder. It is very, very important to have, I think, a system. I mean, Sai Baba has told all of us over and over again in his discourses about Soham. As you breathe, and he's voiced it, you should voice it in your head. Soham. Soham.
'Cause, you know, I think, you know, the Buddha, he said, you know, you can go all the way up to hours, but a funky, the minimum is how would you progress?
Soham. 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 Soh Your breath is a mantra. Many of the mystics believe that we are born on this planet with a karmic clock, a certain number of breaths. And when you breathe that last breath, you go on. Now, you've got to understand that your breathing is a mantra. It's meditation itself, but you've got to focus in on it. That's easy to do in your spare time when you're walking down the street, when you're doing anything.
The amount of time for the tree meditation?
Tree meditation takes about 2 or 3 minutes. It's very, very simple. Very important, though. So very, very important.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yes, sir.
With the ecology going the way it is, we're attacking this earth in so many different ways. Are we not reaching a critical mass where we can make this earth uninhabitable for man in this lifetime, never mind the lifetimes following? Is the time short for action to take place, and can we take action since we are now forming and disintegrating into many different patches and islands?
Well, did everyone hear that? Okay. You just sort of tap into my personal belief on that. I can't speak for Sai Baba. I don't speak for Sai Baba. But what I can say is that I am not frightened by what's going on. I'm encouraged by it because it is turning people to their true nature, as opposed to ignoring it completely, which is the way things have been going in the past. Yes, it is a very discouraging problem, and yes, the biosphere and the chemistry problem, which is beyond any of us, is going to change the way we live on this planet. And I believe that it will be a better way of living because it'll be more of a conscious way of living. As Sai Baba said to me, God is allowing mankind to destroy the planet. Only when mankind is brought to his knees will he turn towards God, and that's why we're birthed. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know who we're supposed to vote for.
All right.
Yes, leader. Isaac Tigrett, there you go.
Well, vote for change. I'm voting for Perot, and I've never voted for anybody. Just because he's not a politician. Yes, sir.
Can you go over tree meditation one more time?
The tree meditation? Yes, indeed. It's a very simple meditation. Put yourself in a nice quiet place. I get up at 6 o'clock every morning and do this meditation. Put yourself in a nice quiet place. Imagine yourself as a tree, your favorite tree trunk. You're the trunk of the tree itself.
Could we do it now?
Yes, you can do it now if you wish. Would everyone like to do that meditation? Oh, Swami, help me. All right, if everybody would get comfortable then, as best as you can. The first thing that I would like to do is something that Sai Baba has had me do constantly with groups of people. I've been doing it today, but I think you should be conscious of it. I wish everybody would imagine that Sai Baba, because he is above this room, just hovering just above this room, looking at all of us. He's very happy. Imagine that there is a colored ribbon. Pick your favorite color of ribbon, and imagine that as you're holding it in your hand and it leads up to Sai Baba. In his right hand, he is holding all the ribbons. This is your connection to him. Now ask him, each one of you personally, to send down your ribbon what you need, because he knows what each and every one of you need. And if you will actually breathe in this energy, which is now coming down these ribbons to each one of you. And exhale that which is unnecessary. Now we should each thank Him, because He has given us each individually what it is we need. This is a meditation which you can do anywhere where you are. He is waiting for your call. Now, if we can all relax for just a second, and if you can now imagine yourself as this fabulous, incredible tree. Maybe you saw this tree in your childhood. Maybe it was something you used to play in this tree. It was your favorite spot. You and your friends would go there. Imagine that tree, that beautiful tree. This is an ancient symbol and a familiar one to all of us. Now imagine that you were leaning up against that tree, just sitting on the ground with your back up against the tree, sort of running up your spine. And just sort of imagine that you float into the tree itself, and the trunk of your body becomes the trunk of this tree. Now imagine the branches above your head, all leading up to the Divine Father, to the Son, this whole branch system above your head, connected to the trunk of the tree which you've now become. Now imagine below you, into the cool earth, this root system, duplicating the branches above, but going deep into the earth, to Mother Earth, the Divine Mother. Now let's start with that Divine Mother, and let's breathe in the energy which she is sending you through this root system. Take a deep breath, pulling in, feel the energy being pulled from below into your being. And as you exhale, just exhale through your mouth, outside, all the negativity, all the unnecessary things that this divine energy has replaced. And let's just get in contact for a moment with that exercise. Now let's focus our concentration to the branch system. And we ask the Divine Father to send down those branches His energy. And let's breathe in that energy and feel it coming through that branch system into your being. Concentration is everything. Now let us alternate, first with the Divine Father and the branches, breathing in that energy. Now, through the root system, pulling that energy up. Back to the Divine Father. Concentrate. And let's alternate one to the other. get in touch with the feeling of the raw power of that energy. Now concentrate very hard and let's pull from both sources at the same time. All right, let's slowly come back to Pennsylvania, into this room. It's very important that you bring yourself out of meditation very slowly and bring all of yourself back. Move your hands and feet a little bit. Make sure you're all back there. This is very, very important. This is the balance between the yin and the yang, between the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. It is when we're out of balance that we get in trouble. Yes, sir.
Why do you think he chose you?
I ask myself that question every day. I want to tell you. Well, I have, it's been a real problem for me over a number of years. First of all, I wondered why he didn't choose me for 15 years, 16 years, and that bothered me. And then when he brought me along the way he has over these last 4 years, it's been so phenomenal. I mean, he hasn't let up for a second. He's chosen all of us. Again, this idea of special is nonsense. We're all doing our chosen task, whatever that may be. The fact that he is, as I said earlier when I spoke, that he has taken me back, especially at a point where I got very confused. He took me back into a past life where I had this ancient knowledge and I abused it. It is in this life that karmically I'm being given the opportunity to right wrongs that I did then. Yes, sir.
Will everyone have the opportunity to get across the abyss?
Everyone has the opportunity, yes.
Will
Everyone.
we all, in fact, do it?
That's up to you. That's up to you. Yes, sir?
Why do you think Swami bring you back into the music business? And why do you think does music have a capacity to turn you toward the divine?
Yes. Music is, what he has shown me is that the dimensions, all dimensions, are made up of sound, light, and color. Color is really part of the light. But sound and light. He has actually shown me how to change my vibratory level. And that's what happens when you go into these other dimensions. He actually changes it for me. He's also shown me how, on one occasion, he has allowed me, he showed me how he projected himself several places simultaneously, and he allowed me to project myself in 5 places at once and be conscious of them. It's all done with sound and light. It is the fabric of every dimension of our very being. I don't know much more beyond that. This is what he's shown me and told me. Yes, sir.
Regarding color, you said sound, light, and color. I've heard that different colors worn can affect your life.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. I have seen, there was an object which he had me take care of for him for a while, in which all of these divine beings put sound, light, and color. I think the colors in the mandir are very psychic colors. I think they're very much a part of the vibration, for sure. Yes, sir.
With right thought or proper meditation, can we change a vibratory rate to conquer dis-ease?
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
What would be our first premise?
He wanted to know, through meditation, can you change your dis-ease, maybe...
The vibratory level of the
Yes.
body to change your disease or to eradicate it.
Well, did you say dis-ease or disease?
Disease.
Disease. I know that disease, from what little experiences I've had with him, a lot of it is simply karma. He has told me that cancer is karmically related, for instance. There are some diseases and problems which are not karmically related. Those things I think you can change, but we're here to work out our karma. I'm delighted if I was a crippled, as long as I understood why I was, and I wanted to get that over with so I could move forward. Any ladies?
Do we have to wait in this life to move forward?
You don't have to wait at all. You're moving forward now. Just depends on how fast you want to go. Yes, ma'am.
We all, as a tendency, tend to be going towards homeopathic medicine. And now he's done a hospital which is allopathic. And
Yes, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I asked him, I am also very much into homeopathy and that sort of thing. And of course, this is part of the ancient ways and ancient wisdom. I asked him if the wings of the hospital, or the approach of the hospital, when we went through the early days of planning, medically planning the hospital, if this was indeed part of the hospital. He said, yes, in the future it will be. He said most of it is such minor knowledge of today, who knows so little about it, until these things are proven, until they are generally understood. He said the groups that are involved in so many of the far-out aspects of homeopathy are just playing really games until they prove the science, make it more seriously professional, where the masses can, I think, can be convinced that this is the way it's going. I don't think we've even touched the surface of homeopathy today. But he said, yes, in the future there will be a wing dedicated to some of the unknown types of healing.
But I mean, in the future, meaning by the end of the century?
I don't know. He said it was a 1,000-year project, so I don't know. Yes, sir.
You just talked about meditation process. Louder. You just talked about meditation process.
Yes.
Meditation. And during the process, I'm instructing myself, okay, take a breathe in and breathe out, and properly put in all the positive thoughts and from both sides. I'm constantly instructing every second. Now, have you reached a stage when that instruction doesn't happen anymore? You just instantly, automatically lose your consciousness to go into that?
The instruction is very, very important. It's part of the process of making contact with your higher nature. You have to continuously fall into a system, a vision, a visual, it's very, very important, I find. You can, in time, and I've been blessed that Sai Baba has put me in a higher state of consciousness on 4 different occasions, all 4 totally different and very alarming, to say the least. It was so bizarre. But that eventually, I'm sure, more accomplished masters than I will ever be, certainly in this life, can do. But I think it's the more simplistic techniques that he is really interested in spreading into the Sai community, into the whole community. Yes, sir.
What does Baba say about self-motivation and sadhana?
What does Baba say about self-motivation and sadhana? Well, I don't understand. Are you having problems motivating yourself?
No, just about like I keep on saying, like, I forget.
Well, the fact that he says he keeps forgetting that what he's supposed to do. I mean, I suffer from the same problem. I'm sure the majority of the people in this room do. The fact that you realize that is the first step. It's hard to put something into your life every day. That's why it's important. Time is very important. If you set aside a time to do something. The ego, it wants to deny the existence of God. When you know you should go out and be doing something for somebody, the ego says, oh, that's okay, somebody else will do it. When you know you shouldn't be eating something because you've had plenty to eat and you're well nourished, it says, have some more, have some more. I mean, you have to be careful all the time, but being aware, just as you are now. I mean, it's taken me years, believe me, because I have the hardest head that God ever put on a pair of shoulders. It's taken me years to break some of my habits and to put good ones into my life. Just keep at it, man. Yes, sir.
What is your gut feeling as far as a meditative technique to melt a fibroid tumor?
I have no idea. Yes, sir.
Is there any use in trying to interfere? Is there any use in trying to interfere with somebody who is on their way to be brought to their knees?
To try to interfere with someone he wants to know if there's something you can
For
do.
example, we can talk about the earth, okay? Yes, it's a given fact. Nobody turns to God until it's the bottom of the pit, okay? It could be a person, it could be a relative, it could be anybody. It could be a friend. Is there any use or any value in trying to tell them?
Well, we all have loved ones that we adore.
They go to find their own pit and turn around their own.
Well, we all have loved ones and friends that we adore. We all see people suffering. We all want to help. We all get very attached into helping as part of Sai's teachings to help those that we can. A lot of people can't be helped. You know, I was one of those people at one time.
Are we helping them by delaying the time for them to come to their knees, or can we just let them?
It's one thing giving people a stepping stone. It's another thing to give them a pillow to lay down on and not move forward at all. I think you have to be very, very careful in that. I used to do it with money. I was very ashamed of having money, and I used to give it to people, give it to all kinds of people. I harmed many, many people by doing that. Sai Baba has told me over and over again, you must be a good steward of the things that he does give you. And that includes helping others. You know, you have to think carefully. The fact that you tune into somebody and you give them love, you're pollinating them, as it be, with God's love, that's more important than the help that you can give them, I think. As Baba has said, forget giving people food, give them spiritual food. That's the real help you can give somebody. Yes, ma'am.
We're all trying to do, think, and act in the right way.
Me too.
And we're all failing, but that's beside the point.
I disagree.
What's the ultimate gain? What's the ultimate goal? You said to submerge in Baba. I don't understand.
Well, it's...
Baba's already with us, in us.
Well, I'd like to be able to think about Sai Baba every waking moment and nothing else. I'd like to realize the Baba within, that I am not Isaac, that I am him. I mean, it's an ancient premise from the beginning of the most mystical times when this planet started. It's not important to understand until you feel like it's something that you can reach for. What is important is that you adore everyone around you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious with your response on the business aspect and how, like when you have a business, obviously what you're doing, your new venture, a business mind is to make money, to make it grow, to be successful. Now I understand if you dedicate that, the energy you put into it, but I don't understand a business where you find that happy medium of dedicating it, being successful, but not living in the world and keeping a ceiling on those desires, and yet have your business be successful at the same time. How do you do that?
It goes back, I think, to the fruits of your labor. If you dedicate your action, the now, to him, the fruits belong to him. Everything belongs to him. I mean, it's sort of hard, and it's taken me several years to really understand it. It came naturally at first because I believe that money is a byproduct of doing something you enjoy very well. It's further down the line for me. For other people, it's the first thing. You know, I was just blessed that I want to do something great and bring pleasure to people. I love the public service business, and money was just something that trickled out of the bottom of the machine. You know, the fruits are not important. It is the action, how you do it. Sai Baba has told me, oh, Tigrett, I want you to do this. He's blessed these plans. I went, oh my God, why did I even show them to him? Because I didn't want to do it, really. But he says, go out and do it, but do it dharmically. Do it with right action, right thinking. That's what's important, because you're a beacon for him. In this world, you affect all these people's lives. I realized that the Hard Rock was nothing more than a stepping stone for most kids. They were going to go into other jobs and do other things, and I wanted to give them a work ethic. I wanted to give them, you know, a belief in themselves. I wanted to uplift their spirits. I wanted to take these habits with them because they would. That became the most important thing to me in my business, because I affected so many young people, was I've got to give them something to take with them. That was the responsibility of my work. All the rest of it belonged to Sai Baba. Yes, ma'am.
Has Baba spoken about the ever-growing epidemic of AIDS?
No. He's not said anything to me about it. The question was, has Baba spoken about AIDS? You know, and I've not heard him say anything about it. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us how a young person who walks into Hard Rock Cafe walks out with value system?
Well, I was an employer. Doesn't make any difference if it was a Hard Rock Cafe or if you had a hardware store or whatever the business may be. I had 250 employees, young people that worked for me in every single Hard Rock, and there were dozens of them around the world. I started when I was very, very young. I was blessed to have very moral parents who brought me up in a way which I realized there was a responsibility to that morality, or I wouldn't have carried it with me. And I, first of all, hired people at the very beginning of my business that came from other restaurants. And they were bringing these bad habits with them. Maybe the boss was a mean son of a you-know-what, and they thought it was okay to steal from him. So they would take things. And I'd see them, young people, 18, 19 years old, coming in and telling their other compatriots, oh, it's okay, you can steal, that's cool, it's all right. I learned all about that. And suddenly I realized that my responsibility was to teach them here, usually most of them in their first job, to teach them some sort of moral behavior, that there was no point in having this whole thing together unless it was teaching something. I mean, I know that there are many people who say, how can the Hard Rock Cafe be a teaching spot? Well, any place can. Sai Baba is everywhere. He doesn't exclude any place. Yes, ma'am.
You said before that you sold the Hard Rock Cafes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, is it still running on the same principle? Are you still supervising it?
No, I have nothing to do with it whatsoever.
So in other words, it no longer goes on those.
Well, I'm sure that the momentum of what Sai put into those places, they still have his pictures in all of them, and I think they're so scared to take them down, to tell you the truth. Those pictures wouldn't be there if Sai didn't want them to be there for whatever reason. No, but there are several devotees that still work within the organization. Yes, sir.
Josh, ask your question.
Josh, lay it on me,
What
son.
you put in the bowl that Baba gave you?
Pardon me?
What you put in the bowl that Baba gave you?
It's a flower bowl, and it ends up usually with a few pens and pencils and letters that my wife drops in there from time to time. But it's a flower bowl is what it is. And again, that bowl really was just a symbol. Yes, sir.
There are some people who try to meditate and they fall asleep. They have tried.
I'm one of them.
They have slept a good number of hours before trying to meditate, and at all different times of the day or night. But after a couple of minutes, they just fall asleep. They cannot stay awake to meditate.
There are two great meditations that I have found, and one of them is the Gayatri Mantra, which if you do mentally, it's a very complex mantra, it's a very powerful mantra. Sai Baba has said it's one of the most powerful mantras. That one takes so much concentration, and I think it can keep you awake. The other, the Soham, which Sai Baba has given us, and doing 21 ohms is quite fantastic. You know, I think it really sets the tone. The idea is to start the day by dedicating that day to God and by contacting your higher consciousness, your true personality. Any number of meditations work for various people. There are many paths to the same thing, but staying awake is your responsibility.
The mantra or the Om aloud?
Yes, as we do at Omkar when we're at Puja Party, as you know, there's Omkar. I found Omkar to be the most fantastic part of the ceremonies that go on there, and also the Westerner's meditation, which is immediately after darshan there, for those of us who have been blessed to go. I've had some after bhajans, excuse me. I've had some fantastic meditations there, and Omkar is just exhilarating. Yes, sir. Oh, well, Baba has actually, I'm sure many people here, I'm no master. Om starts from the back of the mouth, in the throat, actually. Om. It then moves forward, and you concentrate on the back of the mouth. It goes forward to the front, and then it ends in, if you just imagine like a jet plane or a plane moving over, it's like this. Om. That's the proper Om. Okay? And you feel that vibration. It's actually has 3 parts to it. Yes, ma'am? No. No, he hasn't. I personally believe that UFOs are thought forms, and it's part of the elementals and the other choir of little nasties that are on the astral plane. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Has Swami ever told you when he's going to come to USA? I asked him several times. He said,
well, he always says he's going to come, and because he always does. He's here now. I mean, yes. Who knows what his plans are? Only he knows what's going to happen.
Since he's every year, why should come here, right?
Exactly. I mean, again, it is the ancient problem. It is the ancient problem. We preoccupy ourselves with this idea of some sort of duality. God's over there and I'm over here. That's ridiculous. You are God. He is here. He is everywhere. To think that God is down in India is absurd. He's everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
You just mentioned Gayatri mantra, meditation.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it all right to chant Gayatri anytime, day or night?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Baba has said, and there are many complex things to do with geometry and timing. A lot of things you really shouldn't know, because once you know them, then you have to adhere to them. It's very important the time of day to meditate from 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning, and from 4 in the afternoon to 8 in the afternoon. But the breath itself is a mantra, and if you can imagine So Hum, it's so easy to learn, and it keeps you in tune, keeps you in check. They want me to run off somewhere, so I'll just answer 1 or 2 more.
I've been waiting for 20 minutes back here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. You're hiding behind the Texas friend. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I don't want to wait and be brought to my knees. As you said,
me either. Yes.
And then maybe get a break in the earth, be saved and all that. Is there any contingency plans?
No, I think he's referring to the change of the ages. This is the end of the darkest age that man has ever been in. He is so preoccupied with the body, the 5 senses, he doesn't even contemplate God. He is trapped in this belief that materialism and ways of the flesh and control and power and position and being special and being better than is where it's at. Okay, and that's not where it's at. There is a new age, I believe, from what Sai has implied, that is coming on the way. In fact, one which I think Prima Sai will be very much a part of, which it means is not that far away. And I think when he refers to man, he's talking about mankind will be brought to his knees.
But if you're dealing with a dying planet, could you possibly be evacuated somewhere else and let those who are wedded to this planet stay?
I don't think the planet is going to die. I think that it's just going to change a great deal. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that you had a daughter.
Yes.
Does Swami ever advise you how to raise her? I'm asking this question because an American mother had gone to Swami and asked him how she could deal with a 15-year-old who was demanding her freedom. And Swami's answer was, give her her freedom.
Indeed. I am a 15-year-old, or I was, that also demanded my freedom at a very, very young age. It was just part of my karma, what was necessary. It's very, very difficult to be a parent. I have 3 stepchildren. They're 28, 26, and 21. I've been through puberty 4 times. You know, it's been very, very difficult to say the least. But it is, you know, you're given by Sai Baba a ward to take care of for him. And when they become a certain age, you have to learn how to let them go. They are not yours. They're his. My father, who is not a Sai devotee, who came down to the opening of the hospital, I didn't even expect him to come. He just arrived. He came to the opening. I certainly didn't expect Sai Baba to call him in for an interview, but he was very sweet and called my father and I in. My father who's a very dynamic sort of character, put his arm around Sai Baba in the interview room and said, thank you, Mr. Baba, for taking care of my son. I mean, I was going, Dad, that's not the way you do it. But literally put his arm around Sai Baba and said, thank you for taking care of my son. And Sai Baba looked at him and said, not your son, my son. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Sorry about that. All within is the important experience. Yes, sir.
I would like to know how negative thought of other people affects somebody else.
You can definitely harm people with your thoughts. Most definitely. You can bring all kinds of anguish and upset. Those who practice magic and other things know how to even go to a more extreme version of that, to physically have them harmed. But you have to be very careful with your thoughts.
How do you protect yourself from other people?
I can give you an exercise now that does protect you from people, which Sai Baba gave me. It's a very, very simple one. If you can imagine, especially when you think you're under psychic attack from someone else, I have to put this up whenever I get around my mother, for instance. Literally, because she's so powerful, she doesn't realize that what she's doing, but she has a great deal of energy. If you can imagine yourself in a ball, like a beach ball made of rubber, a thick rubber ball, about this thick, and it's different colors, okay? You've seen a ball like that you played with, Imagine this ball around you completely, protecting you. It's flexible. What it does to psychic energy is that when it's focused at you, it will bounce off and go back to the recipient. And that will it won't harm them, but it'll make them think twice before they continue on with it. Very, very important, that is. And Sai Baba's had me use that and other protecting things, especially when I've been space traveling. Yes, sir.
Baba's presence a great deal.
Yes, sir, I have.
And you have been privy to his thoughts, as most of us have not, and maybe never shall. I'd like to know to what extent you feel that those facts alone have been the sine qua non of your progress in your life. And if they are the sine qua non of the progress in your life, what can we expect, even though we know Baba is here with us all the time, without being privy to his thoughts and in his personal presence?
First of all, it has not been an important part of my progress at all. I thought it always would be. I thought that, the whole thing is that you get close to Sai Baba and then he tells you all this and you become, enlightened or something happens like that. It is not the way it works. Sai Baba, invented the laws of karma. We all have to play them out. He can help you through them, he can give you some guidance, but it's really from within that I have gotten all my guidance. Sai Baba's thoughts, I don't have a clue. I mean, everything that he says can mean something now, later. He is a mystery. He's beyond contemplation, totally beyond contemplation. What I have learned now that I have been blessed to be near him a lot and speak with him is that it's not important, quite frankly, as strange as that may sound. After you've sort of asked all the questions you can think of, and then you go, well, why am I wasting his time? He has so much other work to do. He certainly doesn't need having me hang around. That has been the only good thing that has come out of the association that he's blessed me with his grace in being near him, is that I realize I don't have to be near him anymore. And I hope that you all have that experience too, because that's where it's at. Yes, sir.
What, according to you, if you were asked, was the most fantastic experience you had during the hospital project you would like to share with us?
It was all. So the question was, what's the most fantastic experience around the hospital? that I've seen. I have to sort of think that it is the politics around Sai Baba, which are pretty dynamic and diverse. First, there was the university. The university was the golden child, and everybody wanted to be near the university people, and the university people were really important. And then Sai Baba, sort of just like he does with some people, probably will do with me, who he's had around for a long while, he sort of shoves them aside. He started working on the hospital. People from the university started freaking out, and they couldn't get his attention. He wouldn't pay any attention to them. So then he starts doing the hospital, and it's very fascinating that all of the doctors and all the people with the super specialty hospital suddenly became the darlings of the little political scene around the master. And he was giving them lots of attention and hanging out with them and doing all these different things and encouraging them and keeping them going and so forth. And the super specialty hospital became the really important thing. And then to watch the university be jealous of the hospital and the things that went on there. And then out of the middle of all of this, there's the little baby hospital in Puttaparthi, which is where the real action is. No one had paid attention to that. That was just totally unimportant to the university and to the super specialty hospital. And yet Sai Baba demanded that it be built. He understood what its function was. They are seeing there 350 to 400 people every day since it opened. That is where more service, more work will occur than the university, the super specialty hospital, and any other damn thing I can think of. It is unbelievable, the service and the work that's happening within the state of Andhra Pradesh, just out of that little bitty hospital, which everyone ignored. It is so important. And this just shows you how it's really, Sai is so wonderful in his magic. To answer your question, when I was there the last time, there was a fight going on between the university and the super specialty hospital about, where's my friend, computers. And it was all a big thing and carrying on and so forth and so on. And during the middle of this bout, suddenly, and I was in the middle of it too, suddenly they come in and they say, a student's dying. He's had some sort of kidney failure and the poison has gone in and he's dying. And we don't have the equipment at the super specialty hospital to save him. We can't save him. He's going to die. And it turned out that, in fact, the very simple, sweet little Puttaparthi hospital did have the equipment. And they saved him, and they became the heroes. That's exciting. Okay. I've been told, and my mother tells me this, I talk too much. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Sai Ram.